This is part two. We naming this one the Unholy Thanksgiving.
Let's continue on. This is a book that I have in my possession. It's called The Hidden History of Massachusetts. And there's an introduction that I like us to take a look at. We'll go through some little clips, little pages from the book. And it'll give us an understanding, historically speaking, of how the lands were taken, how the people were treated, and why our people need to wake up from their sleep and stop trusting in the lies of these men following Thanksgiving, wasting your money on Thanksgiving. Cradle of Liberty? Question mark. Let's read the introduction.
Since the arrival of the Pilgrims in 1619, Massachusetts has claimed to be the enlightened center of the New World. After all, it is said, the rudiments of democracy and the doctrine of religious liberty developed on these shores over 350 years ago. Yet Massachusetts was also the first colony to officially welcome the African slave trade.
The first colony to officially welcome the African slave trade. So-called Africans, right? Read.
Indeed, many proper Bostonians built their fortunes upon it.
So the well-named or well-known Bostonians, we'll look at some examples. They have built their fortunes on slavery. You've heard of the term money laundering, where a criminal will take his drug money and he will pass it through maybe he'll open some good stores or some libraries or whatever it is, and he will filter his money through that, and then he will change his appearance from being a thief or crook, and now he's a contributor to our society. Okay? Let's continue on. 100
Africans were murdered by Boston merchants on African soil in a slave expedition originating in Massachusetts.
Read.
The Bay State was the leading slave ship builder and among the leaders of the annihilation of the Red Indians.
So you have the Indians and you have the so-called Indians and the so-called Africans being in the same predicament. Because after all, the Mayflower landed where? Cape Cod, right? Plymouth Rock, Massachusetts. So if we're going to trace the crime to the scene, this is where we're going to go. Okay, let's continue. Today,
the legacy of the Commonwealth's hidden past is broadcasted in the names of her landmarks, schools, towns, squares, streets, and in the celebrations of her founders. The town of Amherst is named for Sir Geoffrey Amherst, the Adolf Hitler of the 18th century.
That's right, because he was the one who put the sicknesses, the smallpox or whatever disease that they had in blankets and gave them to the people. You know, like charity, like a American Red Cross. You get the help from them, then you turn out to be sicker than before, and you're dying. Read.
Captain John Codman of Dorchester's Codman Square fame was killed by his own black slaves whom he abused in his home.
So they did a Nat Turner on him. They killed him because he abused them. Read.
Paul Revere grew up in a slaveholding family.
So the one who says the British are coming, he also grew up in a family where slaves were held in bondage. Go ahead, people.
Governor Joseph Dudley of Roxbury's Dudley Square was a bona fide white supremacist who used the power of the governor's chair to torment blacks and Indians in his domain.
Read.
In colonial Boston, Seaver Ruggles, Dorr, and Holbrook all conspired to have the freedom of Roxbury's blacks prevented or punished. Today, they are the names of the well-traveled thoroughfares in Boston's black community.
So when you go to a lot of the so-called black communities in Massachusetts, these names are all over. I know these names because I actually spend a lot of time in Boston. Both me and Kiefer, right? Traveling the streets of Boston. Went to school over there too. So I'm well familiar with all these different streets.
So we're going to pick it up. I just want to say a few words. This the brother that's talking. I'm going to, in some videos, show who it is that's doing the talking. He's a Native American. See, this is how you network using YouTube, you know, because I don't have all the necessary information that you necessarily need. You know, you necessarily need this because you got brothers, you know, that don't want to network and join forces or have an ally with their brothers and sisters that's going through the same thing or went through the same thing that we are going through. And you got these young brothers, you know, that's not researching their history. And some brothers are being agents, double agents. So we're going to pick it up on the next segment. This is Black Light.